This is actually two Shaw bikes that basically I really didn't want to do because I normally do not do Shaw bikes as a custom job for people. But I took an interest on the one that we're looking at right now from a fellow that actually bought my Shaw engine off of eBay. And doing so, when he brought the bike, I could plainly see I had a real strong interest in this because I had never seen a Shaw, original Shaw that is, with an H22 model number on it. And that puts it around a 19, 20 to 21 year bike. And the fellow can explain this probably better here is Stanford, who bought this bike. Go ahead, Stanford.
Yes, I got this bike out of Arizona. It was just the bicycle itself, just like it is here with the wheels. They're not correct, but when I saw this tank, I was familiar with the Shaws, and I thought this was really interesting. This was a piece of history that should be saved. So I bought it, and when I bought the motor from Dave, I thought, well, I could bring this bike up to show him this bike. And so when I brought it up, I was glad to see that my choice was correct, that this was a very rare bicycle that without the engine, I didn't get the engine with it, so it was just, I was told it was a 1915, but it's probably more.
It's not a 1915.
Yeah, it's too newer. I don't even know if they made them then.
And then again, Stanford, why did you really elect to have me do it then, or why did I get involved? I mean, I already said that why I had a strong interest in this is because now I can see it was an original
piece. When I brought it in and you saw it, you realized that this was a piece of history that needs to be saved, and that's the way I looked at it. Now
here is, if you can get a close up on this, here really is the original tank of this. I'll try to get it around here. This would really be the bottom bung holes, they call them. So you have the feed for gas here, and this one would be the oil. And you turn it over, then of course it's the natural bung holes for fillers on top. So this really is the original tank, which is, Stanford, if you want to go over and get that tall tank, it's on top of that bench in the bathroom there. We can show them the difference. When I first started with Shaw's, my tanks were exactly the same, basically, as what we're looking at now. And there is the tanks that I was building. So I was building them actually higher so that it fit between the bars on the bikes that I thought was necessary to have, and that was the Mead Ranger, which is also the bikes we're filming now, but it was called the Mead Ranger Tallman bike. So basically that was the tanks that I was designing, or building, I shouldn't say design, but trying to copy. So we're looking back now then at this one, you can plainly see the difference, how much difference there is, and there's quite a bit. But besides all this, when you have an original piece, you get pretty excited about what is good and what is bad and what you're trying to do and copy. Here is the set of bars they use, and after researching, these are the original bars that he bought that came with this bike that Stanford bought. And they're called tiller bars. And that is that the grips on them, they didn't use what we call as aluminum finger grip on the older styles with the round Shaw tanks they had on them, but rather a grip that's just exactly like the use on the Indians and Harley bikes on the twist grips. So that meant then the Bowden cable that activates both decompression and gas are drilled into the tube itself or the handlebar itself, just like Harley and Indian cycles did. And that made a world of difference in there, but they're the only models that had it when we talk about being all original Shaws. So that's basically it. Very difficult actually to make all of this stuff work in such a small configuration. But you can see how the slot is for the slider in the twist grips, and then the lock pins, which actually is a screw hole that you screw the screw down to lock the outside of the Bowden cable in itself. And then in the thinner part of the cable, the actual cable itself, runs into the slider inside of that tube. And that's good. That's really about it there. I don't know unless you got some more to talk about, Stanford.
No, I think that covers it.
Okay, then we'll swing around to this bike here. This belongs to Dave Nash. And it's like I said in the beginning, I really didn't elect to build these for other people because it cuts into my slack time quite a bit. And it gets very difficult because then you're in a kind of a time slot to get these things done. But this turned out well too, and both are what they call the H22 models. And when we talk about the H22 models, the one thing that is missing, which is very, very difficult to get, is the clutch. And I was told, isn't that right, Stanford, that actually Shaw engines were, the clutches they used were produced by Harley?
Harley bought the rights to it.
Or Harley bought the rights to it, I guess
Yeah.
it was. So if we would have had the clutches for these, which is very, very difficult to find, almost, well, they tell me that Shaw, when they made the implement stuff, they made these garden tractor styles. There is a model there that uses that type of clutch, but even at that, I think John Hasty is his name, can rebuild them, but even at that time, it's very, very difficult to do that.
Yeah.
So, there's the products. Two that I'm actually, in a way, glad to get rid of out of here today, so I can get back on my slack time, or the time that I need to finish up what I got. So that should just about end it now, I think.